This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And this is Throat to Throat, the Throwback Thursday. Legend of Zelda. We don't usually cover Legend of Zelda, right? But today we will. It's kind of funny. We almost never cover the Legend of Zelda. But
yeah, never. We never have talked about it before.
So make sure you share this video on Nintendo Age. Or Zeldapedia. One or the other. This is Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap, which came out on January 10th, 2005. So it is 15 years old.
Man, that's crazy.
That's crazy. That is crazy. That's Game Boy Advance. See, we grew up with that stuff, you know?
Yep.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to pull up some gameplay. So, Will, what do you remember about Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap? What do you remember any of the advertising or any of that stuff?
I do not remember this game being advertised at all, but I do remember this being a big deal for kids on the bus.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody had this game. Everyone was playing it on the on the Game Boy. And I remember being super jealous because I did not have a Game Boy Advance at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. So I had a Game Boy Advance, and I actually didn't get this game when it came out. I didn't play it till years later. But this is actually a continuation of the story of Legend of Zelda: Four Swords. Did you know that?
I did not realize it was a continuation, no.
Or rather, it further expands the lore around the Four Swords adventures.
Okay.
So, whoa. Oh, this must be like Patreon backers or something.
Yeah. You don't get much screen time for this guy.
Yeah. So, anyways, it was developed by Capcom. It's one of the few non-Nintendo.
I didn't realize that
systems.
either. I knew the other ones were developed by Capcom, but not this one.
So, I'm going to make this brief on the Capcom interaction, but Capcom developed exactly four games. Four games for Nintendo for the Zelda games, right? And they're all portable games. They did Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, The Four Swords, and The Minish Cap. 2 for the Game Boy Color, 2 for the Game Boy Advance. And they actually have some jokes and continuity between the games, which is really interesting. So, for example, in this game, there's these 3 sisters who you're trying to build houses for. You get the landlord to agree to build them. And throughout the game, only 2 are built, which signifies the fact that there were originally 3 Game Boy Color games being developed, and only 2 of them ever saw the light of day. Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages. There's a third one I don't remember. It was Oracle of something. But the third sister not getting her house built is a joke about the fact that Capcom never finished the third game.
That's funny.
They couldn't figure out a way to make 3 games work with interconnectivity, which is what their goal was.
Okay.
So, the really interesting mechanic in this game is the special ability that Link has is to shrink down very small.
Yes.
It's the only time that this ability has ever really been the main focus of a game. And the other game in the same lore, the ability was there was 4 of you. You know, the sword split him into 4 links, which actually was pretty cool on the GameCube because you could have 4-player play on the GameCube with a Zelda game. They've never done that other than the remake on the 3DS ever again, probably because it didn't sell very well.
Yes.
I'm one of the people that has it because I'm a sucker. But no, the Minish Cap, everything I've ever seen about it is that the only complaint is it's too short.
Yeah, it is very short. It's a good game, and it honestly looks really good for a Game Boy Advance game. And I was just now we're watching this gameplay. I was like, man, this would be a perfect game for them to remake for the Switch.
Yeah. You probably have to pay Capcom some money for that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nintendo has that money.
Nintendo's got those deep pockets.
Yes.
For being only in the video games market, essentially, they've got a ton of money. I couldn't believe it. But anyways, that's real. I didn't even know that. So in previous Zelda games, you'd have to run into the bookshelf to knock that book down. But the fact that you can get so tiny and climb up there and get up there, this is really cool. I don't remember doing a lot of this stuff.
Really unique gameplay, and it's a really unique element. I don't know, every Zelda game is very different from the other one. So there's always some kind of weird, unique element or a weird concept. And this one is you can shrink and you have a talking hat.
The weirdest 3D one is probably Twilight Princess.
Yes, the Ooh Cuckoo and that. Oh my gosh.
That's not what I meant. I meant the mechanics, like playing as the wolf.
The Ooh Cuckoo is the stuff of nightmare.
Whatever you say, man.
I don't know what that thing is, but why did they put that in there?
This game really is like if you took A Link to the Past and then added this shrinking mechanic. That's how I felt when I played it. It was like, because Link to the Past is one of the greatest overworld Zelda games ever made.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's very difficult to ever outdo that game. Link's Awakening, I haven't tried it on the Switch yet, but from what I remember on the Game Boy Color, that's a great game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they should just take that engine and rebuild this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be really cool to see this remade, bring it to a new audience.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing I wanted to bring up is Capcom is not the only third-party developer of Zelda games.
Oh, okay. No. Oh, no, we're going to talk about them.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Nel Sonic. They did the... Which game? They did the Watch game. There's a Zelda.
That's fine.
There's a Zelda Watch game from like a Game & Watch series. I'm going to pull it up so you can see it. Nel Sonic. Zelda.
I'm blown away by how similar the Game & Watch devices look, just like the Nintendo DS.
This is it,
not
right
this
here.
one.
This is the Game Watch, the Zelda Game Watch. So it's a grid. It's like a puzzle-solving grid on a watch. Although at that point in time, is it really a watch?
Yes, it is still tell time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it does. So yeah, like you basically walk along this grid. You can see it right there on this video, and you solve the puzzle and kill the enemies. It's developed by not Nintendo, Nel Sonic. And then we got to get into the other.
Yeah, okay. These are the ones that we're gonna bring up. Yes.
The Zelda CDI games.
Oh man.
I'm not gonna maybe at some point in the future we'll get into the CDI and how it happened, but today is not that day. Okay, we're just gonna talk about. I love this little.
Yes.
So the most famous person who's covered the CDI games is who?
Cinema Massacre.
Definitely Cinemassacre.
Mm-hmm.
But these, I'm not even gonna get into this. These cutscenes are so great.
What is
my
happening?
boy?
Oh boy.
So Philips hired. Believe it or not, these games were not developed by Philips, who was essentially the owner of the CDI technology. It's actually they contracted 3 other people. I don't know if it was the same developer twice, and then a third one was a different developer, but they contracted other people to do these. So not only did you have Philips owning the contract for Zelda, but they didn't even make the Zelda games themselves. It's like people that have probably never played a Zelda game developed these games.
This reminds me of those really bad computer games that you play during a library, like when you had like the library class. This is what this is. Yep.
So you've got Capcom, and then you've got whoever made the CDI games.
Yes, Capcom games are actually really high quality.
It's so funny because I don't think of like super high quality games when I think of Capcom, but after seeing the Zelda games, then remembering Dead Rising's a Capcom game.
Yeah,
like they are actually. I'm really surprised there's not more Capcom games out there because they do some pretty good quality stuff.
There's a ton of Capcom games. What are you talking about?
I mean, like at the top of the lists. Okay.
Quite a few really good games.
Yeah, we'll name them.
All right, so you have, obviously the one you just said, and you also have, what is that, Lost Planet? You have Capcom versus Marvel, not the newest one. I came up with a couple. Okay, you put me on the spot. There are tons of Capcom games that are really good though.
Mega Man.
Like Capcom. Mega Man. That was a good one.
So here's what I want to say is, all right, Capcom I think is probably the most underrated AAA developer right now. Because you never hear, and it's funny, you never hear Capcom get talked about in the news, ever.
No, it's true.
So all they're doing is developing good games and being quiet about it. So.
As every good game company should do.
Although I will say I was disappointed in Dead Rising 4 because they actually went the paid-for ending route, so whatever. But Capcom, as far as Zelda goes, you guys have done some super great Zelda games.
All right, well, as far as the handheld games, how do they rank against the actual Nintendo ones?
Whew, that's a long conversation.
All right, well, never mind, another day.
So, just for the record, there's not a ton of Game Boy Advance Zelda games out there. There are quite a few DS and quite a few 3DS ones. Mm-hmm. But as far as the Game Boy Advance, you've got the Minish Cap, and you've got the NES port of the original Zelda. and Four Swords, right?
I don't think you're missing anything.
I don't think so. Because the Four Swords on the Game Boy Advance was a combo cart. It had a Link to the Past remake and a 4-player Zelda game. So
yeah,
I don't think I'm missing anything. So I think of the 3 of those, obviously Link to the Past it's really great. So they're probably on par with each other, since technically one was just a remake. Definitely better than this.
Yeah, whatever's happening in this. Oh my god.
Yeah. So as always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And we will see you
on next CHRILLCAST.